hiding space.
Hiding space. Well, how can you hide there?
It can go through the clothes.
We've been thinking about building a garage suite for a long time. Probably 10 years or so ago we started talking about it when my mom moved to Edmonton from Lethbridge, because that's where I grew up. And it was more kind of a theoretical proposition at that time. My background is urban planning, and so I like the idea of densifying neighborhoods in ways that doesn't make them feel more crowded, and I think garage suites are a good way to do that. And then spent the next 10 years waiting for the city to change the regulations so that we could build a garage suite on our lot. I think the most important things for us, or for me, was being able to have my mom close. That's sort of why we did. And I know your desire for your living space is that you don't want to be in a nursing home. And so this was a way to avoid that.
Or you could get a such small Christmas tree and it could fit in there.
All the windows and the visual space that's here, that was one of the things that was really important to me. It's wonderful to watch the sun come in at different times of the day and the moon at night with the skylight and the different windows that are up high. So it feels much bigger than it actually is. So the ideal thing about the sliding glass door this way is that it doesn't cut into the space of the hallway, so it makes maneuverability much better in the hallway. There's no real steps in and out of the doors. It's very easy to get in and out of. So that would accommodate a wheelchair.
Walking into the process thinking I understood the process, I would be more than capable of working my way through it, I still found it more challenging than I had anticipated. We ended up demolishing and excavating prior to having our building permit, which at the time felt really risky, but we knew we were going to be building anyway. And with fall and winter approaching, we needed to move along with things. I hadn't anticipated that, and I'm very much a rule follower, so that made me a bit uncomfortable to go ahead with concrete actions before we had all our paperwork in place. And so these were our structural insulated panel drawings. This was what we had to have completed before we could even get our development permit. And that's unusual for a building in comparison to a building that's just built with a wood frame. This reminds me of all the little design decisions that needed to be made. Even though we had a design ready to go, we had our building permit, we still had to make decisions about tile layout in the bathroom. There's just a million little detailed decisions that need to be made during construction that I don't think we anticipated. Here's an invoice from our designers who also acted as our construction advisors. Here's another design invoice. Here's a paint invoice. Here is an invoice for, I have no idea. Oh, rebar. So this was a rebar invoice. Here's an invoice for the fireplace. It's just, never ending, right? Our renderings here that actually it looks quite a bit like the renderings. This day was, I don't think we'll ever forget this day. This was when our first wall went up. Archie, you can hold that if you like. Do you remember that day? We got home from school and work and we said, there's a wall, there's a wall. And if we're talking about things from an accessibility perspective, we had a really good test of it because my mom just had knee surgery about 6 weeks ago. So watching her be able to recover in the space was great. She was able to be out here and independent and doing her own thing, and a lot of it had to do with the design of the space.
Yeah.
What kinds of things can you do with Grandma because she lives next door to you?
We can, she can come over for dinner sometimes. We can say, if my mom and dad have to work on a PD today, we could stay home with her. It's just nice to have a grandma in the backyard,
My favorite part about Grandma's suite is probably how comfortable it is. Like, you walk in and you just feel welcomed, cozy, happy. It's always nice and warm and the colors are bright. And even if it's like a modern house, Grandma did a good job of making it nice and happy and a safe place to come to.
Once I was homesick and Grandma had visitors, I was reading up here and I was also kind of eavesdropping on them.
Trying to manage everybody involved, like it's my mom and my husband and my children, all trying to figure out how to make this work on the same lot.
Plus we were all living in the house together.
That's right. Yeah. So my mom lived with us while we were constructing, which was great in a lot of ways, but also added to the challenges in some ways. Garage suites at this point are still quite unusual, so I think The city's just getting used to what they need to do to support the construction. And so we all learned together, I think. The city learned. I hope the learnings stick with the organization, and then we learned going forward too.
This space is designed to fit a single bed. So if eventually I find the stairs difficult, then the single bed could fit in there, but it would be all in one level.
I know that my mom is really concerned about how she ages and what happens as she gets less independent. So I think what this has allowed us to do is to have her be less concerned about aging, and she can just enjoy her life and not be so concerned about what will happen to her as she becomes less capable of living on her own.
It's not a high step to get into the shower at all, so that makes it very easy for when I get older.
It was such a long and challenging process, but I would encourage people to really consider it if they think it would be a solution for their family and their extended family, because my mom's only been living here for 4 months, and it's already just made a really welcome, happy change in the dynamics of our family.
You should make a garden on top of your roof. Then you could just go up there and garden all the time.
I just encourage people that if they think it's a solution for them to really consider it and think about it and find out ways that they could try and make it happen.